Hi everyone, Mel Gabby here and welcome to the Oracle Sessions. Let's see if there is some information or a message that will be related to anything that you're experiencing at the moment. So I've started doing the Oracle cards again, and it's not as a tool for divination to tell you what's happening in the future, but sometimes it's around picking up on any of the themes or patterns that can be coming through people's lives. So the card I've picked up today is Facing Your Shadow Removes Darkness from the World. So let's see first of all from Cal Gray's deck what his take on this is, and I add my take from my 25 years of working in mental health and well-being, in psychology and spirituality, and themes that come out from my life experience and the work that I do with clients. So everyone has a shadow. We are, I'd say, over the last 10-20 years becoming more and more aware of what that means and what that can mean for us. And often it's about how we have to, from being young, move things out of our awareness or downplay behaviours or do things differently because it's not seen as okay, it's unacceptable, or could even threaten our sense of safety. So it isn't just about there being negative experiences or trauma. This can be, you know, lots of kids who grow up in families where there is alcohol or drug use, parental mental health, one of the parents really depressed, may suppress joy and excitement and only demonstrate that with their friends. It's also about we can become aware and use tools to help us see what's our experience in the world and what are people around us showing us about ourselves. It can also contain gifts and loving parts that we haven't connected with yet, and sometimes those gifts come online at different stages of our lives. You know, sometimes as we're in our 30s, we're building up careers, we're having those experiences about getting out and about, learning social skills, the skills that we deploy in our work. And then we may go through a phase where we leave that job and we start all over again, learning new skills. And the shadow can be things like, so I'm just thinking about a couple of clients that I worked with, and they grew up in a family where it wasn't explicitly stated, you know, children are to be seen, not heard. But the children in the family would need to keep it quiet. Mum could get quite stressed and lash out. And so there was a lot of fear about upsetting mum and what the dynamics were in the family. And so you can end up, if you grow up in those environments, with more people-pleasing behaviours, because you want to, as a kid, you want your mum to be happy, and you don't want to see her in pain or upset. And as a kid, you're kind of powerless to do much about it, but it'll be doing whatever you think is necessary to not upset the general tone and the environment in the household. But you can then grow up with those skills and traits, and they feed into how you live your life at work. You know, overdoing, doing too many things for people, taking on projects that maybe you're capable of doing, but there's only so many projects or skills or things that you can deploy at a particular moment. You know, you could have a really big project on and someone comes and says, oh, can you also finish this report, interview these staff, get X, Y and Z ready, you know, for other people. And so with people pleasing is a part of the shadow as well, about not wanting to upset people or be worried if they are upset with you, because as a kid that could have been dire consequences. For some young people, it can feel the difference between life and death. Sounds quite dramatic, but in some families, you know, it is dramatic and it is like that. So when this card comes up, it's about you asking deep in your heart for the universe to support you, for you to get any support if necessary. You know, if you've never really talked about these things that you've hid, that other people don't know about you, or the things that you struggled with, that's why therapy often helps, because it gives us a space to be heard and have our experiences validated. It doesn't always give us the map forward or the way out, But part of that process is becoming more and more aware of what it is we didn't talk about and how we've complied and how we try and please others and what patterns are emerging through. And sometimes that helps when we voice that, we articulate that. So it's also about being kind to yourself and having some self-compassion for the experiences that you've had. And we can't face everything at the same time. It's just about where are you at in life now? What is going on? What are the challenges that you're facing? So I had some clients who were quite introvert and they hadn't got the same friendships they'd had before they went to university. So the friendships had, been impacted, as it does when you go through those life phases. So we talked about, well, okay, we can understand why we might be like the way we are and that we're shy and we go out and have some experiences and we can't do certain things until we've got some friends to do them with. But how much time and energy is wasted into feeling sad, lonely, anxious and avoidant? And then being aware of how resistance will come up, even if you get an idea to go online and have a look at meetup groups and find out what activities they've got on, and you've always wanted to do art but you won't go because you're worried about what people will think of you, or maybe people will just think you're sad, you haven't got any friends. So there are different things that we need in our lives at different times. And so the shadow isn't just about what have we packed away of our beliefs and ideas about ourselves in the world that we should be facing. Sometimes it's what is life calling us for now, those tools and skills and ways of being that we deployed to manage life and people so that they didn't get upset and lash out and hurt us or be disappointed in us. What is it now that we can do so that we move out of those patterns that are emerging through? So the shadow might be, that you swallowed your anger and your own disappointment and your own frustration. And so it might be either that you sit down with a journal and you write down what are the things that I'm struggling with at the moment, and would it help to talk to somebody about those things, and what can I do to face some growth, even if that growth feels uncomfortable, even if it feels a bit daunting walking into a setting where you've not met people before, but they're all part of a meetup group and they're all interested in what you're interested in, whether that's cycling or yoga or going hiking, going to the gym, having picnics out. And that can feel really daunting. And yet the soul calls for us to expand. We're not meant to be exactly the same people that we were when we were 16, 18, 24, 30, and so on. So know that you are a being on this planet and that you're important and you have a place here, even if we don't always know what that place is. So in order to be that brilliant, shining light and person that you are, we have to face what are the things that are hindering us or getting in the way of us being able to have a life that we enjoy or one that we actually love. And this is part of that journey. What's contained within the shadow, we remove that shadow, we look at that honestly, and we say, okay, those ways of being served me then, but what ways of being will serve me now? Thank you for listening. Leave some comments underneath whether this resonated or whether some of what I said resonated with your own experiences, and let me know what else you'd like out of these oracle sessions.